Hey, my name is Danica, and today I have my September wrap-up. I read 6 books in September, but I'm just going to talk about 5 of them for secret reasons. The first book I read was Searching for Sappho by Philip Freeman. I have a full review of this one at the Lesbury, so I'll link that in the description. It's enjoyable because I learned a bunch of interesting tidbits about ancient Greek society, but there wasn't a lot that was new about Sappho, which makes sense because there's just not a lot that we know about Sappho. It sort of felt like, to me, this book was published because we have recently found a new Sappho poem, so of course you have to bring out a new collection to be the definitive collection of Sappho's poetry, because about half of this book is just a collection of her poetry, and then the other half is kind of a brief overview of what we know about her life, sort of padded with general information about ancient Greek society. So it's an enjoyable enough introduction, and I was glad that even though this is by a guy writer, he really acknowledges the misogyny at the time. This works as an introduction to Sappho, but it isn't a lot that you wouldn't already know if you've done some basic reading about her. After that, I read Geek Feminist Revolution by Kameron Hurley, which I picked up purely by the title. I was so excited by that title that I didn't actually notice that this is an essay collection. This is definitely focused on sci-fi books in particular, as opposed to geeky fandom in general. Sort of a mix of personal essays and ones that are talking about the culture of sci-fi writing right now. I really loved this. It definitely made me want to pick up Kameron Hurley's actual novels because I haven't read any of those yet. The writing is engaging and smart, but there's this rage bubbling up behind it. It's also intersectional. She's trans-inclusive. She talks about how racism intersects with sexism and misogyny. If you have any interest in the modern sci-fi community, I would definitely recommend reading this one. Then I read Super Mutant Magic Academy by Gillian Tamaki. I read this as it came out in a webcomic format. This has a few more comics. It still reads to me more like standalone comics. It doesn't have as much of a narrative thread to binge read for me. When I read it in big chunks, it felt a little bit scattered, but I still really loved it. It's weird and funny and cutting. I loved the relationship between Marcia and her best friend, and her kind of struggling to come out and face how she feels about her. And I loved Frances as this guerrilla feminist artist. Is definitely a lot of fun. Then I finally read Juliet Takes a Breath by Gabby Rivera, which I have been meaning to read for ages. Honestly, I heard so many good things about this book that I was a little bit worried that what if I don't like it? I don't even know how to talk about it if I don't like it. I was worried that I might be disappointed. I was totally wrong. I loved this book. It's this great coming-of-age story that talks about feminism and sexism and racism. What I loved most about this book is how it faces how flawed people are, and that it is up to you to decide which people are worth sticking around with despite their flaws, and which people are toxic despite the good ideas that they might have. I think this is a must-read if you're in the feminist community, especially I think in women's studies circles in my experience. This would be a fantastic read. It's pretty heavy on ideas and theories and discussion, but I thought it worked really well. Lastly, I read Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Coolhorse, and I loved this book so much. It just warmed my heart as I read it. It's a YA fantasy book about 2 princesses who fall in love, and if that doesn't convince you to pick it up, then I don't know what to say. This was just such a delight to read, and I'm so glad that it's around for young queer women today. It reminded me a lot of Tamora Pierce, but with even more queer content. It also kind of feels like everything I wanted from Disney princesses, but with added depth and maturity. I just love this so much. It was so comforting of a read to me. Not that it's fluffy or light, but just that you get to see all these fun tropes that you've read about in general fantasy books, but for the first time with these 2 girls falling in love. I was torn reading it between wanting to race through it and wanting to savor it because I couldn't stand the idea of having finished it. This was a 5-star book for me. I can't wait to have a physical finished copy and be able to come back and reread it. I think it definitely will go next to Tamora Pierce on my bookshelf. That's what I read in September. Right now I'm reading Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn, and I am really enjoying this one, but I'm also trying to finish it as quickly as I can because it's October, and that means October reads reads. Love saving all my spooky horror reads for October, especially during the 24-hour readathon. I like to pack in as many creepy reads as I can into October, so I'm hoping to be able to finish this one really quickly so I can get to all of the ones that I've been saving up. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and if you have a wrap-up, feel free to link it down below and I'll definitely check it out. And thank you for watching. Bye!